I hate when you
You're listening to Inside Real
sing
Estate,
stupid songs.
your source for all things mortgage
All
and
day
real
long.
estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most.
I
Now
love the
sit
European
back
voice.
And enjoy the show.
It's actually English.
Is it?
Yo, what's up, everyone? Paul
was Australian.
Apostolakis, Salvatore Guzmano, Brad Weisgerber. We are Inside Real Estate. Welcome to the show. Thank you for spending the next 40, 45 minutes with us. We appreciate it. Today we have a very special guest. Has been on the show before, Mr. Ross Rawson the Third.
Thanks for the introduction, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad to remember that. It
Yeah.
usually sticks, the third.
Well, you put your fingers in people's faces
Yeah,
when you did.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are,
Gotta stand
are the
out.
other two as good looking and cool as you are?
My grandfather, for sure. Yeah, he was the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Not your
all-
dad.
You know, don't want to give him too much credit.
There you go. There you go. Great show today for you. Today we're going to talk to Ross about some of the stuff that he's doing that's creating some success for him that I think people can assimilate to. I do want to talk about potentially is FHA the new subprime, because there's some things going on with that. Core Logic numbers on foreclosures kind of give people a snapshot of what's happening with the actual real estate market and its health. And also there was an interesting story in Realtor.com about how people are seeking out homes and builders are building more homes in what they called it the ex-urban or like it's like going out
Ex-urban?
yeah, it's kind of like you where you live like really far away so you can like have a nice house because you don't want so we're going to talk about that but
Bang for your buck, it's called.
you like what?
Bang for your buck.
You like banging for bucks. Is that what we said?
We said we weren't. We weren't
I mean, if you
want
want to pay me.
Yeah, I'm not big. I'm not doing it. We had an interesting week as a group. We had a big party on last week.
Yeah.
A lot of people showed up. We were flying drones. We have drones now. Sal crashed drones. By the way, Sal, when I first met him, had bought drones. He was really into it, right? At UWM, and he was like, he bought one. I think he
But
lost
they were
it.
complete shite.
They're not
They
the
were
same.
just not good.
Wow.
So we bought these drones now at the office. We bought a couple of drones. Brad found them. So Sal
This
now.
thing was bothering
And it's like blowing my mind. It's like
Yeah.
Sal is
how good they are now.
I was
For
like,
the money.
Sal, I got a drone. He's like, can I fly it? I was like, yeah. He starts zipping around like he's done this for years and years and years. And I was like, holy shit, bro. I haven't even like.
dude. He couldn't believe how like easy it was to fly, and like he's just. Vzz, vzz, vzz. And now he's like, Paul, bro, we got to get the Mavic, man. We gotta get the, like he's so.
We gotta
man,
upgrade.
When Sal gets into something, he gets really like knee
Yeah,
deep.
we're gonna get one.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. So, Ross, obviously, thank you for doing the show. You've been on
sure.
it before. I'm surprised you're coming back. So we
Yeah.
appreciate
Thanks for
that.
having me, man.
It's always good when someone comes back. It's rare. After the first time, they're like, never again. But since you've been on the show, that you have had some changes. So let's talk about that. Because for the people that are listening, you want to learn about his story up until now. Go back to the old show. We'll break all that down.
Yeah.
And you can get his story. But I want to talk about what you've done since that show.
In terms of like,
You made some moves.
I made some moves. So
Yeah.
I was with Remax.
Yeah.
And then I decided that I needed a change of pace.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like the best analogy, was there's a lot of these brokerages, and it's like the blockbuster Netflix,
Yeah.
right? Without stepping on any toes. There's just certain things that are changing in the industry, and we got to keep up with it.
Evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, being a young agent, I was like, well, I don't want to be a part of Blockbuster anymore. Kind of want.
It worked for a while.
Yeah, it did work.
Put the
yeah.
writings on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. So, I decided to take the Netflix approach and go with a company I love to death. It's called Dobie. We're in
Yeah.
Birmingham.
Simon Thomas, they've been on the show. They do a really good job.
Yep.
I think we were big proponents of them, obviously, when you were talking about it.
For sure, yeah. I think, yeah.
You thought we had ulterior motives.
I
with
know,
them.
I know. Yeah, you guys actually recommended. You're like, hey, I know you switched, but you got to go check this place out.
Yeah.
Best move I made, though, in my career, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. That's good. Why?
I think the hardest thing as an agent is being able to just keep your eyes set on selling, So it's like you're really your own, CEO. You got to market yourself, do the back end work, find new business.
You got a lot of things
You
got
got a lot of things you got to do, So being able to, just focus on your clients is huge.
So Adobe basically gives you a lot of support as far as marketing. I mean, I know they've got like 2 or 3 media marketers, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty big when I can just go and say, hey, I mean, it sounds like I'm running on my ad right now, but it's just
Yeah, I
true.
mean, it's true.
Yeah.
No, I
So
get
to
it.
be able to be like, hey, man, I'm selling this house. I want to market these people. I need you to make an ad, they just
Done.
It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
that
a lot
easy.
of value for that.
And not only that though, but it sticks. Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone that knows me in real estate's like, dude, I saw that ad or I saw that, thing you posted. Like, what's that about?
Mm-hmm.
So it sticks.
But it doesn't matter how good your support is, and I've said this before. You have to take advantage of it because there's. I guarantee you, unfortunately, and even in your office, there's probably people that just don't take advantage of it.
But yeah, 1000%.
Right, and there's people that aren't utilizing their tools around them the proper way, and you can't. I mean, even with us, right? We have people like it's like, dude, you got to use the tools that we're giving you.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it inside the offices, even the same office with, what it has to offer to people in it. Like, the people who don't utilize everything around them usually don't do very well, or they struggle. They, one can only do so much on their own, and it's good to have people who are experts at the other part, right? Like loan processing or closing or whatever. It's like, hey, it's now your job to do this, right? And you're getting paid to do so. Let me focus on bringing more loans in so we can keep paying.
The analogy that I use is it's like being a race car driver. It doesn't matter how good or bad the car is. If you can't drive it, I mean, I could give someone a Ferrari, and if they don't know how to drive that thing or utilize it correctly, they're not going to do well. And actually, if you are a great driver, but you're driving an Oldsmobile, you're not going to be. You got to kind of marry the two, right?
For
That's
sure.
how I look at it.
Yeah, and I think that, I don't think I would have been able to just jump into Adobe, new agent. Like, it's one of those things that I had to just get
The
into.
progression got you there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what are you working on now, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm doing a few things right now. Building an app.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, which has been like my greatest challenge, but it's more of like the 9 to 2 a.m. thing,
That's like the hobby almost, right?
Yeah. So
because what happens is people when they start building the stuff and they start doing the ancillary stuff, like they get consumed by it and they forget they're actually real estate agents first or loan officers first or whatever it is, right?
And I have to be careful too because, my business is growing really fast. I'm only in my second year and I'm, starting to be like, whoa, okay, I really need to keep my eyes on the road.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing now more than ever is I don't want my clients to be like, man, he's just focused on his app and not my house.
Right.
So I have to be really on the down low about it because people really don't know how much effort I put in behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I'm not focusing on real estate or the app during real estate hours.
Can't.
I just don't.
Yeah.
Out of respect of my clients.
Yeah. So how do you balance that?
Just like
It's a lot of
yeah,
work.
No
just-
sleep.
Yeah, no sleep.
Right.
My wife is like, come to bed. I'm like,
But that's how entrepreneurs are. That people
Yeah.
don't get, so people just see the product sometimes of like businesses like Bezos or whatever. Like, man, he's got it made. Well, no, he made it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I was thinking about this too. I enjoy this process.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I actually thoroughly enjoy it. In fact, like I was telling my partner, when this thing takes off, we're going to miss this time. Because like the small victories is like where it's at. Just like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You guys know, like when you were building Omega.
Well, we
like-
still are. Man.
Well, yeah.
It's only been a year. Yeah.
But you guys are doing very well. But like, don't you love the process of like,
It's a love-hate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get
Yeah,
kicked in the
yeah.
nuts, and then you got to get back up.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the challenge of it.
the wins?
Yeah, but there's some parts of it that are arduous.
Right. I mean, the biggest wins are like when you can kind of take the training wheels off, right? Like, or jump out of the driver's seat and watch someone else start to take
Yeah.
off,
sure.
right? Like, that's the biggest thing when we see one of our LOs have a good month.
Our biggest thing, just so you know, Ross, is that we can either be the business or we can have a business. That's kind of like what we live through. And it's like, if we wanted to be the business, we wouldn't be putting money and effort, and we wanted to see people grow. The most satisfying thing now is seeing our people grow. That's more important to me. I want to see them do well now, right? So
yeah, and you guys definitely, hold that to be true. I know that about you too.
I appreciate that. So, not to get too far into this app, so we've talked about this app. It is something that could, what you're trying to do is basically create an on-demand opportunity for people to see homes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, being an agent, being someone who's always on the go, and looking at the industry, I mean, a lot of agents are scared that Zillow is going to take over and, they're going to knock people out of jobs. I mean, whether it's like, a fear that's real or not, it's something that people talk about.
Right.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, for
like
sure.
in the future.
There's a bear chasing you, and you got to figure out how to like either run away from it or fight it.
Exactly.
Or play dead.
So without getting
Play
into
dead.
too much detail, if you look at the stats, it says, 48% of leads are unanswered. And, so if I was a buyer
That's a huge stat,
and
bro.
someone didn't answer my lead, then yeah, I'd be bitter at real estate agents. And then the fear of Zillow taking over could be more real than, we think it is. So basically,
The quality of the client experience is diminishing because of the mass volume that they're doing.
exactly. Yep. And so basically my partner and I kind of saw an area to help.
Yeah.
And to enhance the experience for the buyer, and that's what we're doing.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck. I want to get updated on that as you get through.
Yeah,
it.
for sure. I'd love to.
Isn't it crazy that someone puts out there that they want something, and we basically like bust our dicks every single day to get clients and do deals and help people out, and that someone will reach out and say, I want to be helped, and there's, what'd you say,
48% people, they're
it's
completely
crazy.
denied.
Well, here's what happens, Sal. When there's a gluttony of leads coming in, let's say you're getting 100, the value of that human, the actual, it gets.
Well, I don't
gone.
think there's a shortage of the supply either.
No,
right?
that's what I
There's
mean.
a big demand,
Yeah.
but there's not a shortage of supply, but somehow it's lost in translation. Right?
Well, I think like what Paul's saying is like if you for instance, you got a $500,000 cash buyer ready to go,
Yeah.
and then you get a lead that comes in, 150 FHA. Your mindset in the beginning might be
I'm
like,
going to call the 500,000. You forget about the 150,
and
right?
not to say that the 150 is
and
not
that lead's already been
important.
accounted for because there's, large lead spends in most areas by big teams or whatever, and sometimes people just get filtered out. So,
Yeah.
when you are on one of those big teams, like the technology and whatnot that you have really needs to be on point.
The
'Cause
technology,
it's easy to scoop up leads and be like, well,
you can have all the
our
technology. you
CRM
want.
didn't put it in front of someone, though.
Yeah,
right?
that's part of it. But at the end of the day, if you have technology, no matter what, if I've worked in the lead world for a long time, and when you have 1,000 leads or 100 leads or 200 leads, you're going through and you're going to cherry pick and you pick the ones that you think convert. And you're already pre-qualifying these people before, and there's a big pool of people. They might have put 150 in, and they might have been 1.5 million. They made it miss to zero,
Yeah.
right? You just
Yeah.
never know.
It's one of those things that's hard to run on a full stomach, right?
Yeah, dude.
That's how people get.
That's the reality. When you get fat and happy, you kind of stop working on the
Fat and sassy.
Man, it is hard to run
You
on
are
a full
fat.
stomach.
It is. It is. That's the analogy I use. I remind myself, like, how do you run on a full stomach?
You know when you go eat like a massive meal, and have you ever thought to yourself, like, man, if I had to run from
my
here
gosh,
to
dude.
there, I would die. I would die.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So true.
I've seen that. So, so as far as your real estate side of the business, what are you doing? Because you are having some success. You have been,
Yeah.
you're creating a brand for yourself. You've done a really good job. I know the move helped, but ultimately it's who you are and what you're doing. What are you doing, in your opinion, that's helping you create some of the success?
Yeah, it's a great question. Appreciate for asking that. To be honest with you, the analogy like burn the boats. Yeah, that's basically what I did. So, my first brokerage really kind of just taught me like, hey, go put your head down and just work. But I think it also takes the individual. So for me, there just is no exit strategy. So it's either I win at this or nothing else.
Yeah.
And I think that's the mentality. Consistency is everything. I mean, you guys know that, that's why I fell in love with you guys, because no matter how much you guys do in revenue, you always pick up your phone.
Always.
Like, and if you don't get back to me within the first ring, you call me back within definitely within 10, 15 minutes.
Always.
Or it's a text like this guy.
Yeah.
Like immediately he's on the phone. He's like,
Hey, man, I'm on the phone. Yeah.
So I think that's how you win is, providing that experience.
Which is crazy because it's not that
It's super
profound.
Easy. Yeah.
No, it's not that hard just to do right by
Answer the
people.
phone, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It blows my mind when people don't answer the
We
fucking
could,
phone.
we could pay my 8-year-old to just send texts to people as the
It
phone
does
rings.
get
Right.
And
you
she
know
would do
what's
it every
funny
time.
though is it gets harder as you get busier to want to answer the phone.
Yes.
Right? Like
For sure.
you had a long day, you talked to people for hours, your phone's blown up, you did this, yelled at, and then you're sitting there on the couch, just sat down watching a movie, and it's like Ross. And I'm like,
Bro, I'm out with my girl. Is it urgent? Yeah, right. We got that type of relationship now, where if it's not.
Well, you got to,
yeah.
but there's always a response. There's always
there's
response.
always a
yeah,
response. Yeah.
Always.
well, you can't let someone hanging.
No.
Right?
Yeah,
and
no.
like sometimes I want to, not to you, but just in general, it's like, man,
For
I just
sure.
want to go off the grid, but
Just check out. Yeah.
you have to have like a plan in place for yourself to be like, I'm still responsible. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Right. What do you need? Can I call you back?
Yeah.
Like that's a good question to ask someone.
Yeah.
Hey, is it okay if I call you back in an hour?
Yeah.
But that's a
Yeah.
response. But that is.
But
that is-
people are
yeah.
afraid too. Like
Fear. Totally.
There's a fear of like missing out and losing that opportunity and whatnot, and you run yourself ragged trying to be that like on-demand person, right? Which is, it's good. I mean, that's how we built our business basically, is always answering the phone, always. But when you really get busy, you have to disseminate what's important now and what's like urgent.
Like, I'll give you an
Like,
example. I had an agent call me yesterday. It was when we were meeting yesterday at our coffee shop. Not ours coffee shop, but the one downstairs. And, I totally forgot to call him back. I was like, hey, man, I'll call you back. Dude, I woke up this morning in absolute panic.
Happens all the time.
I got to call him back. And I called him back, and he's like, dude, no worries. I'm like, dude, but that to me.
See, but that's why we are where we are today, because the anxiety that hits us, like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed too with the whole like taking time for yourself is, like, you guys know I'm avid on social.
Yeah.
I have to not sometimes post things in my life that are happening that day.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not answering your phone call, you see I'm out on, on my boat with my in-laws.
Yeah, dude.
It doesn't look good.
It's like, hey, man, I'm
you're
at a closing.
You know, like you get.
Right.
We got to give time for ourselves.
And sometimes,
and our families.
you know, if people can't understand that, I don't want to work with them.
Yeah.
Like, I forget what it was. It was like Christmas or something. They're like, I need this now, like blowing me up. And I know they're working with like 3 or 4 other lenders. And I'm like, you know what?
This is my time. For once in a while, you have to.
It's like,
you have
hey,
to hold some things.
It's not that
That's
big
true.
of a deal.
I had a
Okay?
really hard
Christmas.
time. My family's going to Greece this summer, and I was going to let them go without me. And I was like having this really like hard thing. And I called Brad. And I'm like, Brad, what do you think? He's like, dude, go. And like I was like, I don't know. And then I called Sal, and Sal's like, that's fucking awesome, man. Go. And I'm like, all right.
If you're not going to go, I'll go for you.
know
I'll
what
take
I
your
mean?
place.
Yeah. Bro.
But it's that anxiety.
I'll be
dude.
Paul for a couple
It's that
days.
anxiety.
I think it's important too. Like, you have to have a commitment from your clients to a degree, not 100%. You know, until they actually do business. But like, hey, I'll do anything for you. But like,
You got to give me a break, man. Sometimes.
or you gotta like say like, yeah, you know, like we're gonna do this when the time comes.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to like, well, I'm shopping around. I'm looking. I need these numbers now. I don't care then. You know,
Yeah.
get them from someone else
For sure.
You know, I'll get you in when I can, but like we're
Yeah.
either gonna do this or we won't, because I'm not gonna put in a whole bunch of time and like
Well, a lot of
drop
times
everything
the-
if you're not like. And it's fair for them to ask that, but at the same time,
have some like fairness with it.
because
Yeah.
I always realize too, when I give them the numbers in like 20 minutes, they don't even hear from their other lender for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And then it's like rates dropped, and they're like, sorry, man, they had a better deal, or they went up, and then it's like, hey,
You know, I've had
we're actually the same.
I've had
But,
situations where I've had relationships with an agent. We worked really closely, and like we I was on it, and then I took a weekend, went away, whatever. All of a sudden, it's like they forget about you and they go work with someone, and it's like, dude. And then all of a sudden they call you back because they forget that most people don't operate like us, right? It's just like the lead thing, right? You get fat and happy. Oh, this is just how it is. And then
well, it's important to build a team too, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're just doing it on your own, it is tough.
Yeah.
You know, you're get hurt or
everything.
something, you're in the hospital. It's like, boom, all your business is dead.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
there's no one else to help.
And that's where I'm at right now too. So if anybody watching this can help, trying to grow my team right now.
Yeah, you
so.
got to layer. You got to add, but it's got to be the right person.
Yeah.
You can't just put, some people, what they'll do is they'll stick someone in there that's cheap labor, like pay them well, make sure they're the right person, because ultimately they're representing you and your business, right?
For sure.
What happens in our business a lot of times, like, oh, this guy's like $10 an hour. He doesn't really know what he's doing, and he's not, and I'm just going to put him there, and they end up just hurting your process and hurting everything else. So just be aware of that. For anybody that's looking to grow their team, don't do it the wrong way. Do it the right way. Pay them because they're worth it, right? So, all right, let's get into these topics a little bit. So I did want to talk about FHA being the new subprime. It's pretty wild. The FHA average credit score keeps going down quite a bit. It's gone down to 660 as the average. Now, pre-crash was 620, but it was as high as 710 at some point. It's been steadily going down to 660. If there is a subprime lender in the country right now, which isn't really called subprime, it is literally FHA, which is our government. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. I think you'll probably see the credit score come up a little bit with FHA.
Why?
Because
They're doing more and more manual underwrites.
True.
They loosened it up.
yes, but as conventional gets tighter and tighter and tighter, which it has been, it's been getting harder and harder to get an approval on conventional, on deals that would have gone approved easily
Right.
a few months ago. I
Well-
feel like some of those buyers are going to go FHA, and you're going to see it come up a little bit, or it's going to stay even. I don't think it's going to drop unless conventional loosens back
Yeah,
up.
conventional in the past
But
2
to-
years has been
Yeah,
like-
it's been loose, so it's been
and there's you could put 3.5 down,
Right.
have 1.75% equity and pay PMI forever.
Yeah.
Or you could do this Home Possible or Home Ready
Right.
loan, right, with 3% down and even 1% like 2 years ago, which was wild,
Yeah.
right? Most people with those,
They're
in
going
that
conventional.
situation are under those income limits anyways, and it's like, hey, and it's a better loan.
So if
it's
you're
easier.
640, 650, 660, you're going conventional all day long. Now it's really hard to do that. So
I mean, currently the only reason you should go FHA likely is, well, you can't get approved conventional, but like
Right.
higher DTIs, right? DTIs above 45 or debt to income
Right,
ratios.
right.
A credit score below 680. Typically, the FHA pricing will be better,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, but you guys, what's the minimum score on FHA?
520.
Well,
520.
yeah.
You can go. You can do 520 manual underwrite.
But it's hard to find an underwriter or a lender or
But
an
there-
underwriting
but
team that'll actually do
There
that.
are a ton.
There
there's a
are,
ton
yes.
that
I thought it was
slam them out.
580 in my head.
No,
It's 520 is the FHA guideline.
520 is the actual FHA
Wow.
guide.
But
Think about that.
Lenders and lenders have overlays where they won't take anything under the
Some
620
It
or
is. I
580.
mean, it's
or-
just crazy. Some of the people out there, right? Like, I get an inquiry and it's like, hey, I had a BK in like the end of 2017. You know, I want to know if you guys do any down payment assistance.
Right.
You know, and it's like, dude, like, no.
we don't.
Maybe someone does though, right? So it's like, hey, call this person. I don't want to not help someone, but at the same time, it's like,
You're not helping them.
Yeah, you're not helping them at all.
You're
It's
not
like,
helping
it's
them.
like
you just had a
honest.
BK.
Yeah.
You want a down payment assistance to take on some debt and buy
like
a
in the
house.
relative scale of that, it's
Take
like
a step back and look at your life.
that's like going into the deal.
Jesus.
I mean, seriously,
He's a
dude.
savage.
That's like going into.
You're not prepared to take out the debt to buy a house.
Well, it's like going to the
you're
car
not.
dealer, dropping off the car, right? They're like, well, we're not going to be able to give you what you need to get out of your loan. I don't care. I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah.
Let's do another loan.
Right.
It's like,
Wow.
I mean, as the car salesman, okay,
Yeah,
let me see what I can do.
there
right?
are
Like,
shops-
and there might be someone who's like, I'm willing to do that, but you're going to put X down and you're going to pay 10%.
There
And
are
that person
shops.
might be like, sure,
There are
whatever. I
shops-
want the new car.
There are shops that specialize in lower credit score, and they get them done. I know we know one down the street that we're friends with, but all they do is low credit stuff. Like us, fortunately, we made a decision pretty early on that we didn't want to do that because it's not a great process, it's not a great experience, it's very hard to get done. People end up hating you because it takes much longer, and it's not good for relationships. So we've kind of stayed away from a lot of stuff. But there are shops and lenders and people out there that will do the 550 credit and actually learn how to do them well because they can navigate it. And these people are getting mortgages.
Yeah, they
Well-
have their own little niche.
Yeah.
But at a point,
it's
you have to
miserable.
look at these portfolio loans, right? And like the portfolio loans being like
just everybody knows-
non-FHA or
yeah,
conventional,
yeah,
like loans that like private lenders are willing to back.
which are coming back to the market now. They're called non-QM loans, or not, and they're not. They're being.
And
it's
they
private
allow
money.
someone who literally had their bankruptcy discharged yesterday, okay, to buy a home, which is pretty cool. It's an option for some people. And some people don't file bankruptcy because they're broke, right? Some people file bankruptcy because their business is going down or whatever, right? But
Here's the difference, though.
it's like, okay, you put this money, they'll require like at least 10, 20% down.
25%.
Right? The interest rate is like 7, 8, 9, 10%, just depending. And it's like, how bad do you want this house, man? You should rent or try to
fix it
negotiate a
up,
land
yeah.
contract,
Yeah.
right? Like these
1000%.
loans aren't great.
Well, you know what happens a lot of times, even us as loan
Prepayment
officers.
penalties, things like that.
For sure, that's all real. What happens with us, and Ross, you can attest to this, because as a realtor, you have a lead, right?
Yeah.
This person says, I want to buy a house, right? And you don't really necessarily look at their credit or that. You're like, do you have money for a down payment? Yeah, I got some money. Okay, cool. Let me get in my lender, right?
Exactly.
Then that lender feels pressure to say, well, man, I mean, it's possible. Let me see if I can figure it out. Right? They go through and they do the pre-approval, and then they're working through it. The loan officer feels pressure because he wants to please you. They want to please the client, but that isn't really always doing the right thing, because you, even as a real estate agent, if you have that client, it takes you 3 months to close. It'll suck the life out of you.
Exactly. No, and I'll be honest. Sal and I, he'll tell me straightforward, hey,
Yeah.
man, you know what? I don't think I can get this done. Maybe try someplace else. Or,
Yeah,
hey,
someone who does Mishta or something
yeah,
like that. It's-
Exactly. Or
like-
if we do, this is what it's going to take, and it's going to be really difficult, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, I tell this often to agents, there's like 3 red flags for me, right? Like that make a loan very difficult, right? And the main one is no money. right? Like it's,
Numero uno, money in the bank.
yeah, but
right.
it's
It's
like,
like
how
those
can you-
zero down leads.
Yeah.
Like that you
Yeah,
always
it's
get.
like-
Yeah, no good.
Oh, good.
It's like, dude, like you can't buy a house without money. Even if like you're doing Mr. or whatever, you can theoretically, but you still have to have X amount in the bank or put in X amount of your own funds. And it's like some of these people, and some of them make a lot of money. You know, it's like, how do you have $1,500? That's not even the payment. That's not even 1 month's payment. You want to buy this house? Well, you know, it's better than renting,
It is,
I guess.
but not for everybody.
Yeah. And that's what I think the whole subprime portion of these FHA loans are, that you can buy a house and literally, I know we talked about this many times, but like literally drain yourself to zero. DU or desktop underwriter, like there are essential like guidelines, right? Like it tells us on each loan, hey, this loan needs X, it needs this in reserves. Sometimes it's zero reserves, right? And you got someone who's like, dude, like, how much are the closing costs gonna be? How much are I'm like, always give them a conservative number, hoping it comes in, you know, $300, $400, $500 light. But literally to the last day, it's like, how much do you have in your account? You know, we need to show 5,500. I got like 52. Like, bro,
You almost want to just get.
you
them the
know,
300
I mean,
bucks.
we got to get the loan done, right? And they qualify for it, so I'm not going to tell them no. But in my head, I'm like, this is crazy, dude. Like,
Wow.
people draining
I
themselves
didn't
down
even
to the
realize
last
you guys
dollar.
went that low.
It's a nightmare though, and I'll tell you, we had a loan officer. I love him, great guy, and he always thought this was his mentality. I'm helping these people get into houses, right? And I'm helping them, and these people shouldn't really have a house, right? So in his mentality, he thought he was helping people, but the reality is these people are strapped now. Their furnace goes out. They need a new roof. They're in a house they can't afford. You know, like if you're just scraping by, a house comes with costs, right? You got to cut the grass. You got anything. There's a million things. Windows, this, that, the other thing. There's a cost to owning a home, and you're not really doing anybody any favors if you're squeezing them in by the hair on their chin.
I actually read an article, you know, like why people lose their houses in recessions, you know, and it's not because they can't afford the mortgage payment. It's because they can afford the mortgage payment, but then the furnace goes out, and then the roof goes bad, then the windows go bad, and it's all those extra things that bring people down, and they lose their house.
Yeah.
And you have to do some of those things, right? Like, all right, your roof is, you know, not the greatest. You could probably let that ride, put a couple buckets down if it starts leaking, right?
Yeah.
Which is tough. But, like, dude, around here in Royal Oak and whatnot, like, your sewer line gets blown out or collapses. I mean,
Sounds
that
hot.
is an absolute, like, that is an absolute, like, must do.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do, right? And it's like 8,000-9,000. And you just drained all your money. And now another point of things, you know, on the rent side, it's typically 1.5 months rent plus a security deposit of another month. So, right, it's like, or that's the security deposit plus 1 month's rent. And that's almost as much as it is to get into one of these homes. But people don't realize the cost of ownership.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Something
you
goes
said,
bad.
like, man, like even just like simple things, dude, like cable, this, that, cutting the grass, that you have to pay, I guess, if you're renting a house, but it's like,
Yeah,
dude.
but if the furnace breaks,
and these
So-
landlord
DTI
comes
ratios
over.
are crazy.
So just to, you know, we're talking about all this, but here's the other side of it. So this was the other thing I want to talk about is CoreLogic's foreclosure numbers. Super low right now, which is really like, you know, on the other side of all this, we have actually really, for the most part, the loans that we're doing today, comparatively speaking to the way better. I mean, we're talking way better. I mean, so the number is basically 1 out of 400 homes are in foreclosure.
wow,
That's very small.
that's impressive.
Right? So if you look at 400 homes, there's only one of them that's in foreclosure. Serious delinquencies, which is 60 days or more, or 90 days or more, excuse me, only at 4%. Right? And these are people that have mortgages. Mind you, 50% of homes in the country, this is a crazy stat, that don't have mortgages.
Call us.
All right.
Hold on, because they paid it off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
50%.
50%. An average LTV in the country is 50%. Meaning loan to value, meaning people have 50%. There's a ton of equity.
There's a lot of equity.
There's a lot of equity out there right now.
Yeah, if I was a
So
loan
combine the two,
officer,
that's 75%.
What?
So 50% of all the homes don't have a mortgage,
Yeah.
and the other 50% have 50% equity.
No, the equity numbers altogether.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
That's
You
like
really made
I
us
mean, that's a
smarter.
hopeful model though for you guys in
That's great.
refinancing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a huge opportunity to refinance for a lot of people that are carrying debt. There are, people get so like let's say what happens is though for refinances is someone has a 3.875% interest rate on $100,000, but their house is worth $300,000. Let's say hypothetically, but they have $60,000 worth of debt that's at 12% or 15%, whatever it is. When you do the combined math on that, the blended interest rate for all of that money, it's pretty high. They're paying a lot more money. What people don't realize sometimes is they're so fixated on holding on to that one rate and going up to like 4.25 or 4.3, even 4.5. They feel like, oh, I don't want to lose this interest rate on my mortgage. Well, the reality is you have the same amount of debt, and what you're paying on all of it is way more than that. So even if you put it all on your mortgage and paid 4.5%, your blended rate might be 10%.
And above and beyond that, like people don't realize too, because that blended rate is tough to calculate in the reality of things, because
Especially with revolving
it
debt,
depends. Yeah, it depends on what that person's actually paying on the
It's not that
revolving
hard. There's a
debt.
calculator for it.
Yeah, but it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than that because you have to think of this, right?
It's not that hard.
No, you're calculating like, let's say you have 30, 40 grand of credit card debt, right? With an average interest rate of 20%,
Right.
right? That math's easy, right? You blend that and get that blended rate. But what you don't realize or might not think about is how much are they actually paying on that revolving debt above and beyond that's attacking that principal. So you have to look at adding up all those minimum payments, right? Plus the minimum payment of the old home
Right.
or old loan.
Like taking
and
the
then
full
what's the
payment.
new one?
And put that towards the mortgage. How much
And
faster
then-
would you pay off the
and
debt?
then adding in the extra above and beyond that they're
Yes.
paying towards
Yes.
principal
Yes.
with that same. So let's say they're paying $2,000 a month currently with a $1,000 regular mortgage, putting
Yep.
a G down on everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can lower their payment to $1,500 all in on everything else, how quickly is that extra $500 aggressively attacking that mortgage?
It kills
right?
it. Because just so everybody knows, the
It's
minute
pretty complicated, but you can really, really put yourself in a better position doing that.
You can smash your debt way faster that way. Because what people don't realize, your minimum payment on your credit cards, how long does it take to pay it off? You just make minimum payments.
I would say what, 2 years?
2 years.
Forever.
Is that 2 years?
No, it's not even close.
It's
Not
like
even-
70.
you're way the fuck off.
Yeah, you're just paying you're just paying the interest.
forever, ever.
It's 30.
Yeah, but
it's
can
like
I-
thir-
can I
student
say
loans.
something though?
it's like
too?
34 years.
Like, I think I watched the podcast with you guys. They're like, we're creatures of habit. This is what people do. They, rack up their credit cards, throw it into their house, do it all over again.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
and
the
it's
hard
just-
part.
and
is
so-
I'm going to help you.
But at
by
least they
combining
pay
all your
it
debt.
off.
Yeah.
Do not use your credit cards anymore.
yeah,
And
let's
they
say
rack
At
it
least
up.
they pay it off.
Yeah.
Like
I don't have
there's
any
so
debt
many
on these
people.
credit cards. I'm going to go buy a new
And me
zero
in
know,
particular
here's
for
the
like
boat.
2 or 3 years, I remember I had this credit card with a $5,000 limit, and it'd be like at the end of the month, I'm like, shit, and I'd pay down like $250. It's at $4,750. I get it up to like $4,900, $4,950. Pay $200, and it's like constantly the interest is just being paid. It's like a student loan.
I get it.
It's pretty bad. But here's to your point. When you pay these things off, it is the right thing to do.
Yes.
1,000%.
The human nature and what happens after that, it's just unfortunate that is what happens. I'm comfortable now. Let me go buy a TV.
Yeah.
Well, how
feel free to-
difficult
I
is
get
it
it.
going to be? You have $40,000 of credit card debt. That's probably like more than the average net income after taxes of what people have, and then they still have their bills. They got this. It would be almost impossible. Sometimes you got to do those debt consolidation loans.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a great tool to have for sure.
You should utilize your home as a tool to basically optimize your debt. That's what you're doing, is you're optimizing your debt. Unfortunately, there's a bad connotation to it because there's a lot of loan officers that maybe did take advantage of people in the past. They charge them extra. There's a lot of bad things that happened back in the day when people were pulling equity of their house to pay off debt. But the reality is, for anybody listening out there, if you do have debt and you do have equity, you absolutely need to talk to a good loan officer and do the math and see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Because chances are,
They're really easy to find. You just Google good loan officer, and they'll be right there.
well, yeah, no, that is it's tough.
See who comes up.
Yeah. Sal is Googling
Oh my
good loan
gosh,
officer. I
that
want to
is
see what
awesome.
it's.
This is the first time meeting you, by the way, so it's been fun.
You haven't
Yeah.
met Brad?
I have not. No, maybe.
I was on the show last time with you. I think it was just a brief one.
I don't know.
I think I had to
don't
book
think
you out.
so.
He's very forgettable.
Maybe.
He's very forgettable.
I don't know.
Brad, by the way, pulled into the parking lot today. There's a lady crossing the street. Brad drives a Denali truck. This thing's massive. It's diesel. He's like, "Bruh." He looks like I don't know what he looks like. So he goes around the corner. He almost murders this lady because he's speeding into the parking lot. I'm like, dude, what's up? What came up?
It's Paul.
I had to put near me because it was like a whole bunch of like articles.
Good loan officer near me. Genesis Credit Union came up first, and then Omega Lending Group.
There you go.
Dead serious.
Neither of which are loan officers.
Just for people,
Right,
I mean, it's probably because we like
Yeah.
Well, we're also in Royal Oak. and
Right.
it's
Yeah,
near
you're
me,
right down the
I
street.
mean, it's not.
I mean, that's interesting that came
Well,
up.
if you're near Royal Oak, you could apply it.
Hey,
So.
kudos to Joe Marcello, our marketing guy. I mean, he must be doing something right.
Yeah, I mean,
Better than coming. Look up bad loan officer.
no, don't do that.
Let's see what comes up with bad loan officer.
Probably nothing.
Yeah.
I don't think people are paying for that SEO.
Yeah. All right. So surprisingly, the market's doing well. Interest rates are still really low. People are still calling for the recession coming. Again, even though the recession is probably coming, the housing market's going to fare much, much better this time around.
Yeah.
Much, much better. So be cognizant of that. Don't think that because the recession's coming, it's going to be 2008 and I'm going to buy houses for pennies on the dollar again. That isn't happening. We're probably going to stall a little bit, but a recession, everyone, all it is the economy taking a breath. That's a real recession, right?
Can I ask you something too, in your opinion on this?
Yeah.
So I get this a lot. Well, Ross, I want to wait, to
I was just gonna say that.
buy a house. This is and correct me if I'm wrong. I always tell people this, like, interest rates are still so low. So they're obviously, when we're in that recession period, they're going to double, right? I mean,
Not necessarily.
maybe not double.
It might go down.
Typically,
think?
they do go down.
Okay, so
during
they
a
do.
recession.
Okay.
So, the question that you get asked all the time, which is one that we get asked all the time too, especially by friends.
Okay.
I don't know, man.
The
I'm like,
market.
listen, what are you trying to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Why are you buying this house?
Yeah.
Right?
It's
Are
a
you
need.
buying this as a primary home, a vacation home, right, or an investment?
Yeah.
They're like, well, I want to make money on it. Well, that might not happen. But where are you going to live?
Right.
You
well,
know?
well, my thing is too, is the amount of money
stay
that you
in your
think you're going to
apartment?
save over that time. Your lifestyle is, I mean, like you said, if it's a need and you need the house.
Here's the deal, dude. If someone's trying to time the market, I'm sorry, but you don't know more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't have a
You're not
crystal
smart
ball.
enough to do that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not smart enough to do that. Right.
Right.
You buy a house because you need a house. You're not an investor for the most part, and you're not looking to make
6 months ago, we were like, dude, rates will be easily
5.5%. Yeah.
at this time this year, right?
And I don't think a lot of us were anticipating it being this good of a market this year.
No,
None of us were.
no.
Yeah.
So nothing like Barry Habib was on our show and said 5.5. Now he's calling for lower rates because things change, right? So
My motto: the only time waiting ever makes sense in life, in my opinion, it might be a little extreme, but red lights and railroad crossings. Any other time, waiting doesn't make sense.
this is why he drives a
It
truck.
doesn't make sense, dude. If you have an inkling
what
of
you want to do too,
what do you want to
it's
do?
a buy
Does it
versus
make
lease
sense today?
mentality,
Do
right?
it.
Yeah.
Do you just want it to be easy and just hand the keys in and be done with it, right? Okay.
Listen, you should buy a house.
Maybe you should
if it
rent.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
if
it
you
makes
want to customize it, you want to do all this stuff, you want it to be your own, you want to have something that maybe when you pay off is worth something. Buy a house.
Here's what happened.
I mean, it might be a while.
A lot of people made a lot of money on the market in 2008. People think they can do that again. It's not. It's never going to be like that. Now, people will make money on their houses. There will be appreciation. So buy a house. Buy a house now. If rates go down, refinance.
Yeah.
All you got to do is
It's not
refinance.
Yeah.
Right? Refinance. All that's going to happen is 2 years from now, homes will be worth more. Right? Because look what happened. Recession came. Houses came down. We're above where we were before. You will always, historically speaking, you will make money on your house over time. Even through the most catastrophic collapse of our real estate market, it bounced back fucking fast.
Yeah.
Right?
It bounce back.
What's that?
It's a great asset.
Were you singing?
Oh, dude, my mind
is wrong.
Literally,
with you?
I have thoughts in song lyrics. Like, it's
No, I
crazy.
can tell.
Brad
bad.
always sing like he'll come into work
It's
and be
a
singing the
horse.
I love it.
stupidest
He's
song.
always
I'm
singing
not
like
medicated today, I'm sorry.
Brad's a big like Little John era guy.
Little John.
Okay.
What?
What? Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's just always singing like
Stupid shit.
early 2000s rap.
Dude, that's what's up.
Hey, man, I get it.
I mean, you're
No, I mean I get it too, but
Yeah.
It's better than the mumble shit that happens.
I get
What is that
that
shit?
was a hit.
Dude, that's
You just made a hit.
stupid.
Dude.
I can't handle it, man.
All right, we're signing them right now.
Yeah, side. P Diddy's calling.
all right.
All right, next topic. Last one is builders. People are actually commuting, going out farther away from the even like the suburbs to buy houses because here's what's happening. Unfortunately, the housing prices have gone up in areas like where people. What happened was a lot of people came back in. They wanted the downtown, the walkability. So these areas kind of blew up. like a Royal Oak where we're at in Michigan, Birmingham's in Michigan. Like a lot of these downtown areas blow up. But now the cost of living there has gotten so high that people are now and you get way more house, right? I mean, Brad, you're a testament to this. You live in Burton, Michigan. Google it, people. It's like no. I mean, it's up there. So like but you got way more house. You're very happy with it, and you're good commuting an hour every day.
I was good commuting an hour before the construction of Michigan happened. Now it's like 2 hours.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. No, it made sense for me, right? So I got family up that way.
Yeah.
I don't like the hustle and bustle of living in the city. I lived in Troy for a while. Hated it. Took me 20 minutes to go 10 blocks to go to the store because traffic's horrible.
Right.
Still takes 20 minutes out in the country.
I mean, yeah. There's nothing. But you're not sitting in traffic.
Yeah,
it's
that's
different, right?
You're always moving, right?
I can go like 70 down a county road and be fine.
Yeah.
But the house I have, like, I didn't pay that much.
Sweet.
It's badass, and put that house down here, and it's $500,000-$600,000.
Right,
Like
right.
It makes sense.
And what's
for me to live
happening
out
is
there.
builders are taking note, and they're starting to build more out in these areas. Like I see it in Grand Blanc, and there's a lot of builders moving and building in these outlying areas because people are buying them, and they can build them for cheaper.
Yeah.
And you can buy a $300,000 house, a $250,000 house, and get a lot of house.
Oh, yeah.
Where let's just say in Royal Oak, for $250,000, you're getting a little
Getting a
800
shack, bro.
square
I know.
foot bungalow.
It's like the deal we just did with Tyler and Sarah. That house was massive. It was in Dryden. I mean, it was an hour. And
Where's
some change.
Dryden?
It was a hammer.
Yeah,
I know
it
Dryden.
was a hammer house, but it was like an hour and some change.
Yeah.
Not too bad. But man, I'm looking at the house. I'm like, you're gonna get this for this much.
So you're seeing it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
yeah.
I think a lot of us
You
are
know,
seeing it.
Well,
And-
I've sold 3 or 4 new builds, farther out to people who
Well,
work
listen,
in Troy.
in 20
Yeah,
years, that area could be way more developed, and they're in for 300 extra equity.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it is good, and it's always the people on the frontier that usually get the most out of it.
I just don't know if I can.
But you got to.
There's a price to pay for it. You
Yeah.
get it much, but you have to be okay commuting to where. I mean, most people don't work
Yeah.
in those areas, right?
Yeah.
Most
You
of those
drive a
people-
lot.
Yeah.
You may, like you said, like to go to the grocery store, but that grocery store may
Be-
be the only one,
Might
and
be
it may
in
not
town.
be great.
It might be
right?
literally in
Like,
town.
As
Yeah,
opposed
right.
to here, like there's everything you could ever want within, yes, maybe a terrible drive with traffic and all that, but it's all here, right? And
Yeah.
it's really nice, and I don't know if necessarily I'd pay an extra $100,000 to be so close to Whole Foods and all that crap, but I did.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But
but it
I
but
think-
it has its advantages.
I think the
and-
story really is there's a population of people right now that are totally okay doing it, and
Yeah.
they're doing it. So for a lot of people out there that are looking for more value because a lot of people are saying I can't find a house, I can't find this. Go out, look a little farther out. You're going to get a lot more for your money, no matter what state or where you're at. You're going to get more for your money. And why not? If you're comfortable doing it, like you're okay doing it, I would not do it.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
I could not do
I
it.
have to be like within
I mean,
5 to 10 minutes.
I have a
of my
40,
work.
I have a 40-minute drive, and I want to blow my
Granted,
head
I have a lot
Oh,
more
where do you live?
flexibility.
Nova.
I have a lot more flexibility than most people. Like, I would hate it if I had to be at the office at 8 a.m. every day, and I'm stuck in traffic from 5:30 until I got to the office right at 8 o'clock, and I didn't get out until 5, and I'm stuck in rush hour both ways. Like,
Yeah, you
It'd
don't
be a
show up
tough
to
one.
like.
I don't.
Yeah.
I
You
I have
can-
more
you can
flexibility,
wait.
so I'm blessed.
Yeah.
I can also work at home if I want to once in a while, but like.
You have
If I had a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 4 job and I was stuck in rush hour both ways every day, I would not be okay
well,
with that.
this is going to go back to
Some people are mad too. I mean,
Yeah, I would
people
not be
commuting
okay
from
with that.
Lansing to Quicken.
Yeah,
Oh
that.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's like,
Well, it's only
man,
on-
crazy.
You're
Yeah.
nuts.
That's-
Their cars
yeah.
got to be just blown out.
God.
Well, here's what I'll tell you too.
Drive a diesel.
In our world
Big ass
today,
one.
more and more people can work from home. More and more people are in the cloud. More and more people don't going to the office eventually. Will just like for our business sale, like people aren't required to come to our office. They come there to hang out and maybe we get some stuff done. They come 2 or 3 days a week, just like you. You don't have to go to the office. More and more businesses are becoming home-based businesses because there's no and as a company, it doesn't make sense to have this huge office with all these people kind of in this rat race anymore.
Yeah, and it's good, or it makes things logistically easier. But there is something to be said about the environment of being in your office that is irreplaceable. And
Yeah, you can't take
a
it
lot of
away.
people aren't self-motivated.
It depends on the industry. Like sales, having that sales culture and having a group of people all working and like like I was at Quicken. I don't think it would work at Quicken at UWM. Like there's you got to keep it high and tight. There's a lot of things that happen. But if you're like like let's say a processor or an underwriter, you can do that from home.
It's probably easier when people aren't coming up to your desk.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a reason that the underwriters are separated from the
How
loan
did we get on
officers
this
at most
topic?
places.
I'm not sure.
What'd you say?
I said, how did we get on this topic? I completely forgot where we started.
Because people moving out. They
Oh,
can-
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
To the fringe.
Where,
areas.
where the fuck
I
have you
tried
been?
the whole work from home thing, and like it was a joke, man. In terms of like the dog was like bullying me around the house, like not
Bullying you?
just like
Like-
barking, like I need to go out. I'm
Oh.
like, dude, I'm trying to work. I'm like shutting the door. I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't do this.
I can't work from home.
You gotta
Literally,
lock
like,
yourself into like a safe zone.
2 months into doing it, I'm like, I gotta find.
I can
that's
do
when I went to
work.
Dobie.
I can do work at home, but I can't very well prospect.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
just am
Yeah.
like,
You're just full
I
of
can't
fire.
stay on the task of pushing things forward. As where
Yeah.
I'm at the office, I'm like,
We gotta go. We gotta go.
yeah, we gotta, you know,
Yeah.
or you look
Prospecting.
over.
Like I go to the office every day. We all four owners are always in there every day because I have to start my day there. I have to. I feel very because it's just how I'm conditioned. I have to be in the office first thing in the morning. Whatever happens from there, I mean, I might go home early, whatever. But I have to start my day there. But like some people, I don't think it's necessary as much as long as you're self motivated. I have 2 kids. There's no way I'm staying at home and working from home. Not
I get way more work done when I'm at home because I can just lock myself
Really?
and just no distractions. Like I'm by myself. I'm just cranking out. I got a ton.
I'm a
Cranking
lot
out at
like
home.
Sal.
Sal.
Holy crap! Oh yeah, we've gone off the rails.
Yeah.
All
What time is
right,
it?
we're done, guys. So
All right.
Ross,
Thanks for having me,
Tell
man.
the audience how they can get a hold of you, man.
Yeah, you can either follow me on social. It's just at Ross Rawson, or give me a call. So 248-259-6441.
Say that again.
248-259-6441.
Ross is a great agent, so everybody knows.
I appreciate it.
Everyone,
Thanks, man.
thank you for listening to us. Next week, I think we're gonna have some. We had some questions from some listeners, so I want to bring that up. One was personal for you.
For me,
Yeah, someone thinks you're cute.
Wow.
nobody thinks I'm cute, bro.
You're right. I'm totally lying. All right, everybody, see you
Man,
next
that's
week.
tough.
You know David Chuck the Freak?
Yeah.
He